Welcome to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show with your hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet. Phil and Ted's guest today is comedian and actor Kevin Pollak, known for his standout roles in films and television, including A Few Good Men, The Usual Suspects, his own HBO comedy specials, and the hit TV show, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. And now, your sexy boomer hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, Bunker to Bunker.
Thanks to the pandemic, we are all secluded in our individual bunkers, and today we're welcoming actor, impressionist, and comedian Kevin Pollak.
Yes.
He's been in every film imaginable, but you probably know him best these days for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. He plays Moishe Maisel, the hilariously obnoxious father-in-law.
Yeah, typecasting. But he's an extraordinary man with an extraordinary career.
Well, let's join him in his extraordinary bunker. The one, the only Kevin Pollak.
Thank you.
Well, actually, I think we're welcoming the one, the many.
Yes.
Kevin Pollak.
Thank you.
Really, if we look back at your career,
Sure.
you have an incredible array of talents that you've been able to exploit quite well, which is rather unusual. And you started as a stand-up when you were very young, is that right?
Correct. Continue. Small Jews for 400.
Yeah, Wikipedia said you were 17 years old when you started in San Francisco.
Is that the kind of show I'm doing where the information comes from Wikipedia?
Yeah, well.
Well, that's why you can correct the information. Right?
I think Wikipedia also says I have 2 children, which I don't.
It also says, Kevin, that you share your birthday with your father.
That part is true. Yeah. And
Wow.
in fact, that sounds, your reaction is what I would hear throughout my life. Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds great to share a birthday with your father. But in fact, it was horrible because, your birthday's supposed to be about you.
Yeah.
And I got to share mine with Dad. Sure, some years we celebrated how I wanted to, but most years we just, ended up at the track.
I'm going to ask you about that. I was thinking,
Yeah.
I think that's a mixed bag at best.
Yeah, and at the track, my father would say, hey, don't worry about it, kid. If number 5 comes in, you get that tricycle you've been bitching about. I don't know why my father sounds like Brian Doyle Murray, but there it is.
Well, that's where you get your sense of humor, I guess, right?
That's right.
Self-defense. Mm-hmm.
That's right.
I once had a girlfriend whose birthday was a New Year's Eve, and she was traumatized because everybody counted down to the end of her birthday. It was tough for a little girl.
Yeah.
Well, my mom held off on my birth until the next day because, there's that thing, Monday's child is full of woe, Tuesday's child is far to go, et cetera, et cetera. She wanted to hold off until, I think it was Sunday, when I was full of grace. I ended up being full of shit, but that's, not her fault.
But yeah, great job, Mom.
A lot of your own podcasts have gone viral. So if you don't mind, I'm going to wear this mask while I talk to you, just in case. You can't be too safe these days,
You can't. No, I'm wearing 2 condoms right now, as a matter of fact.
As a fan of Maisel,
Yes.
God, you're so funny, and thanks for all the laughs. I mean, really hearty laughs.
Thank you.
What a terrific show that is. Every episode looks like a feature.
Yeah, the sort of heightened reality that was created by Amy Sherman and Dan Palladino, the creators of the show and showrunners. And every department head comes from high atop, and there's almost no way to screw it up. It's you just want to absolutely know your lines and not bump into the furniture, as we were instructed. Especially when you're doing 8-page oneers and there's 14 moving parts. You don't want to be the one who bumps into the furniture inadvertently.
Unless, Kevin, you're giving it a tush test.
That's exactly right. The tush test has resonated.
Is it a longer production schedule because of the quality of production?
Yeah, we're definitely spending more than your average bear on time-wise, and certainly, I imagine, financially. Per episode, an hour show, I think, averages anywhere from 7 to 9 days, maybe 10. We're shooting a minimum of 10. Look, they've gotten nothing but utter support from the mothership, in this case Amazon, and Amazon wisely really doesn't give notes. They give a lot of encouragement and support. And I really feel like this magical world that I've been invited into just continues to be a winning lottery ticket. It's fortunately you get to an age where you can actually appreciate every square inch of it, and every waking moment of it, and that's kind of where I'm at. There's an utter appreciation and gratitude, and all the cast, even the younger actors, feel the same way. And we've only done 3 seasons, so give us time in terms of turning on each other. But so far, it's been a love fest.
Some of the scenes, I can't even figure out how they do it, or the recreations of the periods. And
painstakingly is all I can tell you.
Boy, I can mention something about that, because I was in New York, Kevin, when you were shooting something there, and we're staying in Times Square area, and they had all these great old cars lined up for blocks and blocks, and I went, oh my God, that detail and that love was just thrilling.
Yeah, and the wardrobe too is everything we wear is built for us individually, and which is ridiculous and almost unparalleled. It makes sense that they would build all of Rachel's costumes.
Yes,
her character, of course, not only the lead of the show, but the look of the show sort of starts with hers. But no, it's every single one of the series regulars. There's a wardrobe fitting that is normal, but a bit abnormal in its depth of detail. Yeah.
Right.
But your character, Moishe, talk about fertile territory. The character's so obnoxious at times. Some of the scenes in the last season when they had to move into your home and the friction.
Yeah.
I just couldn't imagine how many takes you lost for cracking up.
We lose a goodly amount. And also they like to do these long oneers, they call them, 8-page oneers, and many have been spoiled by laughter, and it's part of the thing, part of the process. You don't want to be the one who spoils the take, as I said, but
you're distorting.
All I touched was my nose, and we're not supposed to, so maybe that's what caused it.
Don't touch your face. That's right.
Yeah.
What are you doing in the bunker? Have you gotten cabin fever yet?
No, I think we've only gone out for the essentials, but we do go out for the essentials with masks and gloves. We go on daily walks when the weather permits. We make a point of being 20 feet away from each other, not each other, but everyone else. So I know people. We had our first Mrs. Maisel cast Zoom hangout. And that's how I found out that Tony Shalhoub and his wife, Brooke Adams, wonderful actress and artist, as well as Rachel, our lead, and her husband, Jason, have gone through the virus and come out the other end.
Wow.
There's always been a conversation about the numbers, right? The extraordinarily high percentage of people who get it are going to be okay. But
yes,
it seems so damn random in terms of who it decides to kill that no one feels safe no matter how healthy, what age, whatever. Even though the information keeps coming in. So we're doing our best to stay healthy physically. We don't remember ever cooking and cleaning to this degree ever. If that's the worst thing that happens, we got off very, very lucky.
Are they in New York?
Yes, there's very few of us here in L.A. I think Maren Hinkle, who plays Tony Shalhoub's wife, Rose Weissman on the show, she lives here in L.A. Archie, played by Joel Johnstone, who is our son's best friend on the show, he lives in L.A. But everyone else is in New York, yeah.
And are you in actual suspension now of were they planning to shoot some more stuff and then they pulled the plug on it?
We were in a existing hiatus already.
Good.
Yeah. The question is, how long before 50, 60 crew members are comfortable gathering on a soundstage, which is where we shoot the bulk of the show. And Amy and Dan are the creators of the show and runners. We're saying in the Zoom thing, how long before we can shoot on location outside, where we shoot a lot of the show as well, where Sure, everyone is going to wear a mask. So I think they are and have been already, and this is probably true of every show and movie that's waiting to shoot. Everyone is trying to crack the code on this one in terms of how does a crew go back to work. I think everyone wants to be respectful to the rules. And cabin fever aside, everyone wants to go back the smart way and not rush back as much as the president would like us to.
Well, even on our street here, there are people who walk their dogs, and they are now, the dogs' faces are covered with scarves. So, I mean, the people are being perhaps a little too careful. Yeah.
Well, not if they have a big cat. Evidently, the cats at the Bronx Zoo have caught it.
Well, it was just announced. Who was I watching? One of the talk shows? Oh, Steve Colbert, who's done a phenomenal job.
Hasn't he been amazing?
Unbelievable.
We love him. Love him.
Godsend, said the atheist. But he mentioned cats in general can get this. We are cat people. They are indoor cats, so they stand as the same chance, I guess, as we do, unless we bring it back to them. But it does dampen my hopes of doing my own version of Tiger King.
Now, I want to ask you a question, if you don't mind. Change the subject. I've been doing some comedy stuff with Jamie Alcroft.
Who I love dearly.
Yes, and I've seen a lot of the shows that you did with them, Mac and Jamie, the comedy break, right?
Yeah.
And that was apparently a really back-breaking schedule. You did a lot of shows, in a short period of time, and played a lot of different characters. What'd that feel like?
It was magical for me, and as it turns out, as close as I was going to get to a televised sketch show. It was I guess now they would call it block and shoot. Back then they didn't have a name for it yet. But yes, it was a strip show on 5 nights a week, comedy break with Mac and Jamie. And so we had to do sketches every night, and the writers did what they could and the best that they could. But in terms of building sets, at some point they decided, let's just put black tape on the floor and in place of a couch, and not try to do set design.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so I don't know what it would look like now. I thought that we did our best to be funny, but for me personally, it was very, very early in my alleged career, and so I got a chance to be on a sketch show.
I've seen a bunch of those shows, and it really works. It's actually kind of part of the comedy, because it focuses your attention on the characters.
Right. Well, it's a relief to hear that you, one of my all-time sketch heroes, thought that the show works, because there's no greater compliment that I could think of, quite frankly.
Well, that's very sweet of you. Most of the sketch work that I did with like the Firesign Theater was not televised because we were too scary. We scared them.
Well, I only knew it from the albums, and it was life-changing for me, as much as Mad Magazine or any introduction to subversive, witty comedy. And I think when I had you on the chat show, to this day, I always, there's just certain lines that stay with you. Carruthers, why don't you leave us alone? How much would you like? 5,000? 10,000?
May I take your goat and jack it off, sir? Right. I know. Choo. Well, that's very flattering. And of course, those performances in the studio were like out-of-town tryouts, because we would write all the stuff ourselves very arduously sometimes, and come to these hard compromises, go into the studio, start playing it, and throw the script away.
Wow.
And improvise it.
My God.
And we had all the freedom to do this. Now, you've done 80 movies.
I don't know the exact number, 91, but I will say that 6 of them are quite good.
Yeah, but that whole experience of making movies, though, you're stepping into, especially if you're not doing a lead role, you have to step into it, and that can be very nerve-wracking. But you seem to have mastered it by perhaps your sense of humor. I don't know.
Yeah, I had no formal training as an actor. I'm not terribly proud of that. It just happens to be a fact. But I had faced so many audiences as a stand-up comedian that rejection, which is pretty much what an actor does for a living before they get a job,
Yep.
or while waiting for the next job, is face rejection. I was not impressed by people when I had to audition. I wasn't impressed by their lack of interest. I'd faced it too many times as a comedian on stage. So that served me a little bit, but I definitely went on hundreds, no exaggeration, of auditions before anything took. And then as I've learned from having brilliantly talented friends over the years who just didn't have that one, you can call it lucky, fortunate situation, right place, right time, I did. And I was having lunch every day with Rob Reiner while working on a very subversive little summer series that he and Christopher Guest created that almost no one saw, called Morton and Hayes. But while we were shooting it every day at lunch, we would talk. And one day he said, looks like this next movie I'm doing was a Broadway play called A Few Good Men. I got looks like we're going to get Jack Nicholson to play the crazy colonel, Tom Cruise. I said, wow, Rob, this is amazing. And he said, and there's a part of Tom Cruise's co-counsel that you're perfect for. I have an offer out to Jason Alexander, but if Seinfeld gets picked up for its second season, Jason won't be available. And at that point, it was a big question mark. Seinfeld was on Friday nights. It was called the Seinfeld Chronicles. They'd only done 4 episodes. Nobody was watching it.
I remember that.
And it looked, in fact, like there was no way it was getting a second season. And it was only, in fact, my prayers that pushed it through.
A little Rosemary's Baby there, huh?
Yeah, I think things worked out for Jason Alexander and I rather well. But that movie is really what allowed me to go from auditioning to getting offers. And then, of course, everything changes. And also changed for me as a stand-up comedian, because as a stand-up, when there's an offer for stage time, the answer is yes. There's never any question or even conversation. If there's a chance to perform, the answer is yes. So as an actor, when I started getting offers, I had that same mentality, and I was a girl who couldn't say no. Consequently, I did about 40 movies in the 90s, and I promise you 6 of them are really, really good. To repeat that joke, but it really does come down to the absurd bulk of films I did in the 90s.
And you do a lot of impressions.
And maybe that's where I learned how to act, because when I did impressions, it was important to me, and remains important, to build from the shoes to the hat what the physicality of that character was. And because of that, even from a young age, it became sort of a possession. When I do voices, I think as the person. So Albert Brooks was my single comedic hero my whole life. And when I do Albert Brooks, I think faster and funnier when doing him than I do in my own voice.
Wow.
Just to give you an idea of the sort of possession that takes place. So because of that, I think I was learning how to act without going through classes.
Indeed.
It's, in a way, when you do a character, you're putting on a mask, which sort of frees you up, right, of all self-consciousness. And
consequently, I lack certain technique. I can't cry on command. I can't do a lot of things that theater-trained actors can do. I do notice that I have a little more fun on set than most of them.
And that's infectious.
Yeah.
We can see that.
Yeah.
We can see the little twinkle in your brain there.
Well, Moishe Maisel, according to my better half, was a part I was born to play. To me,
I agree.
I'd never played a loud, obnoxious Jew before, so I'm not sure how to take the compliment. But I'm also channeling the great Lou Jacoby, who I worked with in Barry Levinson's film Avalon. He was the character in that film who said, "You cut the turkey without me," if you know the film. And if you don't, he was also the actor who said, "I can't believe I ate the whole thing."
Oh, yeah.
He had an extraordinary career, but in a lot of films, including Avalon, he played a very loud, obnoxious Jew. And so I am channeling him for sure, and I'm enjoying the hell out of it.
Whenever you walk in on a scene, it's like this energy field comes in with your character. Like, oh, God, here it goes. It's gonna go sideways, loud, fast.
You were talking about working on sets in New York, but one of the things I love about the show is the locations that they found. The location shooting. It's really when you're in Vegas, you're in Vegas. When you're in the Catskills, you're in the Catskills.
Yeah.
Yes, or is that all an illusion of some sort?
Yes and no. When the show did shoot in Miami for a couple of weeks for season 3. It did shoot in Paris for the first two episodes of season 2.
That's nice.
The Vegas interiors were built in Queens, I think.
Wow.
Somewhere in Queens.
Beautiful.
The Maisel's home is in Forest Hills, as I think it was said in the show.
Yeah.
And we dress a lot of New York for our period piece needs. My character's garment business is an existing place. I think it's been around since the 1920s and has built suits for famous and infamous and presidents. And
wow.
But they also ended up building a smaller version of that on a soundstage for later seasons.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so it's a bit of both.
The Miami stuff.
Extraordinary.
I was trying to figure out how did they do that, because I remember going to Miami Beach in the mid-'60s as a kid, and it really took me back.
Not only is that really the Fontainebleau Hotel.
It is. That's where we stayed. It is the actual.
Yeah, but people subsequently, after the show dropped early December, when people went to the Fontainebleau Hotel, they wanted to know where the Maisel stairs were, where the Maisel suite was. And I think they set up some period sort of displays within the hotel to celebrate.
But that was all soundstage, the stair scenes and all that. Is
Nope.
that what you're saying?
No, I'm not.
That was actually at the Fontainebleau?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, that explains a lot, because it just seemed too authentic.
Yeah, everything in Miami was authentic. The Catskills stuff was shot at the Scott Family Resort, about 3.5 hours out of New York City. Not geographically in the Catskills, but a similar setting and a big family resort.
Yeah, it was very convincing and fun.
Oh man, it was like an away game for the crew and the cast, because we all far out of the city, we all had to stay out there, and it's in a little tiny town where we all the same little tiny Holiday Inn or whatever the hotel was. I don't remember, but that was kind of funny.
Oh, that's fun.
And ridiculous. Yeah.
When I hear that they're going to go to Vegas, I'm actually looking forward to it, because I want to see Vegas.
Yeah.
And that's
how
authentic it is. It's like, I don't care how they do it,
but
I know I'm going.
And they keep expanding the world season after season, and they just shared the sort of season arc and a couple storylines with Amazon for season 4, and apparently Amazon executives are thrilled, and whenever we're allowed to reassemble, we will do so.
You're listening to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show with your hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet, and their special guest, comedian and actor Kevin Pollak. We'll be right back.
153 years ago, a group of desperate criminals were transported to the barren shores of Australia and gave birth to a second-rate nation and a first-rate beer. But really great beers aren't just born. They evolve.
Yo, bro, what's this brew?
Ha-ha! It's Darwin's Select, mate. Have one, it'll make a man out of you. Have another, it'll make that man into a monkey.
Throw another on the bar, Bill.
The Surgeon General is determined that alcohol kills brain cells.
But only the weak ones.
Darwin Select, a proud product of Brown Rainbow Brewery, Down Under, Australia.
You're listening to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show. To hear all the Sexy Boomer Show episodes and get your hands on our Sexy Boomer bumper sticker, visit sexyboomershow.com. And look for Sexy Boomer Show on Twitter and Facebook. And now, your hosts, Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet, and their special guest, comedian and actor Kevin Pollak.
Kevin, you keep yourself very busy. How long did you do your podcast and your TV podcast?
Well, yeah, we started in 2009. We went 10 years, exactly 400 episodes. I was
Wow.
a little lazy because we did it once a week, and so I averaged about 40 out of 52 weeks because the first, I think, 8.5 of the 10 years was live streaming video. Towards the end, we started doing audio only.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved doing it. I have some of the longest interviews that any of these people ever gave on camera. People like Tom Hanks went 2 hours and 42 minutes.
I saw.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
He's a talker. If I got to the point with it where everyone else I knew who also started around the same time, 10 years prior, where you had to explain to people what a podcast is.
Right.
Everyone else who did that built institutions out of it, and I didn't. So I thought I should probably let this go.
But you were really an early starter. You started with, I read that you started with Jason
Calcanis, a little internet mini mogul jerk, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who I met at a poker game.
That's what you said, right?
I had a friend that worked for Mahalo back in the day.
I think that's where Phil you came, was to the Mahalo studios.
Yes, that's right. And it was very comfortable and friendly and fun. It really was.
We ended up moving the show to the West Side Comedy Theater in Santa Monica, just off the 3rd Street Promenade, where
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
where I now do a live improv show that I created another podcast a little over a year ago called Alchemy This. And it is 5 brilliant improvisers that I found at the West Side Comedy Theater that I cast, and we every week we record 2 episodes around a table, not in front of an audience. And we also, and it was inspired really by Fireside Theater in the case that creating theater of the mind,
That's right.
For podcasts only, the way that you guys did for records. And so that's available to your podcast listeners, Alchemy This. And we do a live show once a month, and we'll resume those when we're allowed to gather in theaters again at the West Side Comedy Theater. But the Alchemy This podcast is however you get your podcast.
Well, that's great. You remind me a little bit, if I may say so, of Robin Williams, because Robin, he was doing his series Mork and Mindy,
Right.
and then after he'd finish, he'd go and do improvise with a group of wonderful people in some club. I mean, that kind of energy. I think that's probably what gives you a particularly unique talent, a unique personality. That's what I'm looking for, because you keep doing it. You need to do it.
You
love doing it.
Maybe from a sense of desperation, I sort of diversified very early on.
Yeah.
I've been a member of the Writers Guild since 1987, but only because when I was 5th lead on a very short-lived sitcom, I pitched the showrunner an idea for my character for a storyline. And he said, "That's a great idea. Do you want to write the episode?" I mean, that had never crossed my mind. Of course, I answered as if I was waiting for him to say that.
Right.
The old adage of an actor at an audition, and the director says, "This role calls for horseback riding," and the actor says, "I got a saddle in the trunk."
Yeah.
So when Barry Kemp, who had created one of the Newhart shows, when he said to me, "Do you want to write the episode?" I said yes. Now, I didn't know that these sitcoms are written by committee, and once I handed in my draft, the title would stay the same. One of the basic storylines would stay the same, involving my character, and then all of it would be rewritten within an inch of its life. But
of course,
I got a screen credit, and I was able to join the Writers Guild. So I've always been interested in diversifying. 12 or so years ago, I created a mantra: if you're not creating, you're waiting.
Good.
Because actors and comedians, if not all artists, are bound to the telephone and waiting for it to ring with the next opportunity. So that annoyed me, and I thought, I can't wait for the phone to ring. I've got to create my own.
If you don't like to wait, now's the time we're all being asked to sit and wait. Are you able to compensate for your bunkered in situation?
Yeah, so as the Alchemy This group gets together on Zoom, and our individual recording, and our engineer producer Doug Boehm handles that side, and we've recorded at once a week. We've continued. I'm rewriting a few scripts. I, along with a couple of other guys, pitched a show, an animated half-hour comedy to a production company. We had met with them prior, and then we continued on Zoom. So yeah, I'm
Good.
I'm not feeling cooped up. I'm not feeling bored. I'm not feeling anxious. Other than my interest in getting back to work and back to life like everyone else. But my better half, Jamie, and I have calmly hunkered down and have so far so good. Other than, again, I don't ever want to cook and clean on a daily basis this much ever again.
On your one of the things I enjoyed about your podcast was the Larry King segment.
Oh, yeah, Larry King, yeah.
Yeah, Larry.
I was once a producer at NBC Radio Network News and Mutual.
Mutual.
NBC Mutual was after Westwood bought both of them. And Larry King did the overnight in our building in Washington.
I appeared on his show from that studio in Washington.
Crystal City.
Yeah.
It was a weekend, so I was supervising producer, and I got a call on the hotline, and it was Larry. He was hey, this is Larry King. Who's this? And I said, it's Ted. He goes, hey, Teddy, how you doing? Hey, listen, could you tell me what's going on at Belmont? I said, hold on. And I gave him the horse race that he was interested in. He goes, thank you, Teddy. And hangs up the phone. He must have been a big gambler.
He was a big gambler out of Miami. That's where he started his radio career.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I cold called his show. Someone got the hotline when I was living in San Francisco where I started. I cold called his show as Albert Brooks because I knew he loved Albert. And
Oh, wow.
and I, hi Larry, it's Albert. How you doing, buddy? And he after I rambled for a little bit, and then he said something like, "That's not Albert Brooks, but I will say that's the greatest Albert Brooks impression I will ever hear. Who is this?" And we started a friendship, and I did appear as much as you can on radio on his show. On his show several times, and remained friendly over the years. And one time I was on a show and Albert called in, which was incredibly funny. Albert called in and said, Larry, it's me, Albert. I'm listening to the show. What the hell's going on here? And Larry said, he does you pretty good, Albert, don't you think? Well, yeah, sure. Listen, I called my attorney. He has an 800 number, and he said it was legal. So what am I going to do?
Oh, that's a good story.
Yeah. Won't see him at Nate and Al's any longer.
Yeah,
that's right. You know, Jamie Alcroft and you and I wanted to get together there for a nosh. Well, we will when they relocate,
right?
God willing, right?
Yeah. I've got good news.
Yep.
A wonderful friend who I play poker with and her husband bought the place, and they were behind the move to the new location where the old Wolfgang Steakhouse used to be.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's been under in the works anyways for quite a while. And it was really the pandemic that caused this.
Yep.
And I think the current plan anyways is to move it once they're allowed to.
Oh, good.
That is good news. That's I kind of heard that scuttlebutt as well. So that's wonderful.
Speaking of poker, again, Wikipedia says that you've been playing for 30 years. You're an avid poker player, it said. And
right.
You've been in the World Series of poker.
Yeah, I've been playing my whole life, and I have been seen on television through the World Series of Poker, WSOP on ESPN several times. I play each year, wearing sponsor hats and shirts like a NASCAR driver.
Good.
Because it's a $10,000 buy-in, and as much as I love poker, I'm not going to set that kind of money on fire from my own pocket.
Good for you.
I'm happy to play with other people's money. And the guys who play my weekly game actually buy a piece of my action. So when I do cash or finish in the money, as they call it, which I did in this last year, 2019, they own a piece of the horse, which was great. It's a great passion of mine, and I continue to host a weekly game that's super fun.
Do you do any charity work?
Oh yeah. In fact, I'm glad you asked. I have been involved now with the first attempt at a national emergency relief fund for the men and women of law enforcement, like a Wounded Warriors for the men and women in law enforcement, specializing in suicide and catastrophic injury. So the number of suicides now among the men and women of law enforcement is three times the number killed in the line of duty.
That's shocking.
Wow. How long has this been going on?
It was started by a gentleman named Jeff Stein, a medical retired police officer in the San Diego area. I want to say not quite a year ago, and he drafted me, and I've been on the board of directors now for about 6 months or more, and just starting to raise awareness and funds. And I got on the Cameo app to help also sort of raise funds. So if people want to pay to have me make a silly video for them, a goodly portion of the proceeds will go to. It's called Cover Now.
Cover Now.
Fund.org. If people want to go and check it out, I would greatly appreciate it.
That's fascinating that 3 times the amount of killed in the line of duty are suicides by law enforcement.
That's exactly right. And most times these are one-income families, and the family is left with virtually the last paycheck, unless the officer's been on duty, I guess more than 20 years, whatever the pension number is. But the majority, there is no pension. And
in the rural areas, police salaries are very low.
That's exactly right. And they'll throw a pancake breakfast or something to try to help the family.
Yeah, that's right.
There's never been a national relief fund, emergency relief fund, and that's what CoverNowFund.org is all about.
Suicides don't qualify for life insurance payouts, right?
That's right.
So these people are really left in a hole. Any studies as to why that suicide rate is so high?
Well, sure. There's all sorts of information available. There's no quick answer to that question in terms of it's X. A lot of it is attributed to the same PTSD that people suffer from active duty in the military.
Wow. Sure. I mean, every day, your job, your shift, you're going on into a life.
Yeah, as a kid,
danger.
I always thought of law enforcement as our real life superheroes. They suit up the way a superhero does. They have weaponry, what have you, but they're there to protect and serve. And from a kid standpoint, this was larger than life. I didn't know any other profession where they were honestly risking their lives on a daily basis, if not minute by minute. So, every now and then you'll hear stories in the news about the bad apples within the bunch in law enforcement, and they get all the press. But like any business, our business has an awful lot of bad apples too that are only recently coming to the surface. So,
boy, is that true?
Yeah. The glass house we all live in, but.
Now, speaking of that, what's next on your agenda today, for instance?
Oh, so I do have to wrap things up because I have cooking and cleaning responsibilities.
Oh, I see.
For the family here at the house. And I think I have to, there's an emergency, you can only go out for the essentials.
That's right.
But I feel like if I don't get some Cadbury mini eggs.
Or Peeps.
For the Catholic in the house.
Yeah, you need some Peeps too,
right? That's right. I've secured the Peeps. I've secured the this is all top secret. She can't be listening.
Oh, good. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, it's been absolutely wonderful
My
talking
pleasure.
to you. And
Yes.
I feel like we only scraped the surface of your life, but it's wonderful to be floating around on top of that iceberg with you. What a terrible metaphor.
Although I feel as isolated as someone who's on an iceberg. So
There you go. Anyway, thank you so very, very much. And we'll stay in touch, Kevin. And hopefully when this is all over, we can get together.
Thank you so much for taking time from your bunker.
My pleasure.
Give our regards to your cats.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Kev. Take care. Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
What a delightful person he is. Ted, even though these are very difficult times, we're extremely lucky that at this point, so many of our friends who have successful careers don't have a career at the moment, and they're stuck in their bunkers, which gives us a wonderful opportunity, and them as well, to talk about their life and to talk about the times that we're living in. And it was really fun talking to him.
Join us again next time for another episode of Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, Bunker to Bunker.
Goodbye.
So long.
You've been listening to Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, featuring Phil Proctor and Ted Bonnet, with special guest Kevin Pollak. Darwin Select was written and performed by Phil Proctor and Peter Bergman. Music by Eddie Betos and the Nervous Brothers. Special thanks to engineer Rich Rao. I'm A. Ernest Guy. Join us for the next episode of Phil and Ted's Sexy Boomer Show, produced by RadioPictures.com, the makers of fine podcasts for boomers. Okay?